Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to another 3-tip bit. I'm so excited to have my friend and wealth management advisor expert on the conversation today, Sarah Miller. Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and who you do it for.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Miller, and I do wealth management planning with Northwestern Mutual. And I do that for a kind of range of people, but a lot of working professionals, mostly business owners, particularly female-owned businesses, people in the world of sales and real estate who have very fluctuating income. Those are my primary clients today.
Awesome. And I'm so glad you're hailing in from Colorado. So it's fun to get some friends on the West Coast, or at least close on the West Coast. So Sarah, you've been doing this for quite a few years at this point, and I know that you could bring, you've got just this vat of knowledge in the wealth management space and helping business owners and just any of your professional clients managing their assets and their investments in their portfolios. So this is a bit a time of uncertainty. So can you share with us just 3? I know 3 is not very many, but what are 3 tips that you can that you'd like to share with us today?
Yes. So my first tip is kind of going back to some basics. So I encourage every single client, whether they're a business, whether they're an entrepreneur, whether they're a professional, to no matter what, know your lean budget. So now's a time, I think, during this kind of uncertainty season where we are all evaluating our budgets. We're all kind of understanding that there could be layoffs, there could be some unrest as far as our professional careers go. And so I always want people to know, what's the lean budget? We know what our budget is. Well, first of all, have a budget. That's a good starting point. It's a good time to do that. Maybe your calendar's opened up a little bit so that you can start thinking about that. But really know, what are the things that you can cut if you had to. So if you have part of your budget that's on fitness right now, maybe you could change to at-home workouts. Or if you spend a lot of money going out to eat, maybe you can subscribe to some cooking blogs or some things that you can do, especially if restaurants are closed in your area. But some things that you can cut. And so in my budget, I have my absolute, these are the things that have to get paid and have to make my world go around. But then I have the stuff, right? The stuff that brings me joy and that makes me happy, but it certainly could be either reduced or completely cut out in a time where my income might be fluctuating on the downside. So that's tip number 1, is always know your lean budget. My tip number 2 is really around running your practice or your business from home. And one of the things that I've noticed about myself, because I don't typically work from home, I work in my office, I have employees there, and I want to make sure that we're always connecting. But what I've noticed about myself is that I have done better work from home when I have my boundaries. And so I have made commitments to myself. Number 1, I need to show my webcam in every single conversation because we're not communicating face to face anymore. And so I need to be presentable in order to share my webcam. I'm also making sure that I hold my schedule. So I'm getting up at the same time. I'm keeping my morning routine, which is filled with gratitude and just prepping my day, having coffee, and also moving my body. So I'm making sure that my home gym, which is now my living room, then I go to my office, which is now my dining room, is all set up and ready for me to do things. But some of my other commitments to hold my boundaries right now are, if faith is part of your life, making sure that I'm incorporating, prayer time, worship time, really sticking to my ideal calendar and not allowing myself to go do chores, right? I could really get into, let's just go finish all the laundry before I get to work. But allowing myself the time to do the chore, but also to stick to my ideal calendar. So running my business now is more important than ever, that we stay really diligent, that we keep revenue and our clients happy and in communication. So our final tip is tip number 3, which is, as you're thinking about your assets right now, whether you have a 401k, an IRA, a savings account, an investment account, whatever it is, just know that it's only a fluctuation until you sell it. So if the market has made your account size go down by maybe 30+% at this point, just know that it's a fluctuation on the downside. That is not a loss until you sell it. And for most people, if we're saving into retirement accounts and things that are going to be a bit further off, if you're a bit further from retirement like I am, you don't need to touch those assets. And most likely what's going to happen when the market goes down is that it's going to come back up in a big way. And so just know that as you're thinking about, this market is really scary, I've got this investment account, I had it earmarked for a house 3 years from now, what should I be doing with it? Just consider that if you sell today, you're selling at the lowest point of the market. And that if we ride this thing out, we can guarantee a gain versus a loss. And that's just about timing of selling. So another point to that is just someone that can help you with that, I think is so critical. It's hard to do that on your own. Part of financial planning is having somebody to do it with you and to give you strategy and advice. And so I'd highly recommend working with somebody like me or a financial advisor in your area where they can really help you walk through that strategy. And if your advisor is not communicating with you right now, today is a day. I've actually heard very veteran advisors say things like, the less communication, the better, which in this environment, I have a fundamental disagreement with. And so if somebody is walking you through even just the emotional roller coaster of watching your accounts go down and explaining to you how this works and giving you advice and giving you strategy, it's a really big help when the market is down like this.
I love that. So, I mean, this is why I'm taking notes now, right? So the first is beyond. Step 2 is having a lean budget. Step 1 is having a budget. Okay, so we need to make sure we have a budget. And then with that, also as a plan B within that, make sure we actually know our lean budget. Love that, very practical. The next, actually, with having this remote work environment that we're in, creating and setting boundaries. So getting into a routine or sticking with your old routine that you had when you actually left your home. I love that I can kind of visualize the layout, now of, okay, what was the dining room is now the home office. I love that. And I think that's important, right? So also shutting down, right? And making sure that at the end of the day is the end of the day. I know when I worked from home for 5.5 years, I constantly struggled with that, right? Closing the door to the office and then being present at home. So definitely part of the boundaries and sticking with those. And then relating again to your experience and expertise in wealth management is it's only a fluctuation until you sell it. And even though you didn't use this word, what I kept hearing in my mind was patience, right? Like, be patient. And what I would even say beyond that, like you shared, Sarah, which is so critical, is don't go it alone, right? Lean on someone like yourself who has the expertise, who has their pulse on the market and what's going on and knows how to interpret that. I mean, I give that all to you, sister, right? Like, that is just not my area of expertise. So I think that's really, really sound advice, really sound tip. Make sure you actually have an advisor who can help you understand and interpret what's happening. So this is fantastic. Okay, so how in the world do people find you and connect with you?
Well, you can find me in a lot of places. We're very active on LinkedIn, thanks to Lindsay. So you can find us, Sarah S. Miller, on LinkedIn. You can also find us at my website, which is sarahsmiller.nm.com. And you can always just shoot me an email if you'd like. My email address is sarah.s.miller@nm.com. So like northwesternmutual.com.
Perfect. Love it. All right. And so you know the routine, you know the drill. We're going to end on a happy note, end on a positive note. So of all the things in life that make you happy, what's one thing that you'd like to share with us that makes you happy?
Well, one thing that has been making me so happy this week has been walking, which is such a fundamental thing, but I did not realize I used to be a big walker and I haven't done it in a long time. And I have made a habit this week of getting outside. I've actually walked with a friend twice this week. There's a lake by my house. And the first day I did kind of like a prayer walk and kind of, praying for this virus and the people in the world. The other day was just with my friend and we were talking through it together. And then the third time we were just connecting. We were just talking through other stuff. So I think it's such an important thing. It's very snowy in Denver right now, so my walk is going to get interrupted, but I just feel like now we can go appreciate the outdoors. We can't really appreciate a lot of things inside with others right now, but what a wonderful thing that we have nature and that we have something beautiful to go view visually while we're kind of in quarantine.
I love that. And now pressure's on because the sun just came out in Greenville, South Carolina. You're my last call of the day. And now my dog is like, Mom, are we going? Are we going on a walk? It's time to go for a walk.
The W word. I heard it.
I know, the W, right? In fact, my husband and I always say, have you taken Tater on a W yet? We can't even say the word because he freaks out.
Sorry, Tater.
That's right.
I'm excited.
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for joining in to another conversation of the 3-Tip Bit. Until next time, see you soon.